Hi, everybody.
Hello.
Very businesslike.
Yes, we'd like to welcome you to this podcast today. Thank you for taking the time to come and see us.
I'm Mike. This is my associate, Mel.
My business partner.
Welcome to Super Breakfast Friends Club. We're here to look at a television show, I believe based upon a video game.
And hopefully we're here to welcome you to our little family.
We have a plate of snacks.
We have counted and we will be monitoring.
Please itemize what you have chosen to take on the sign-in sheet for today.
So we'll be moving on with the presentation.
Please listen to this opening theme.
I can't get the laser pointer to work. Did somebody remember to check the battery before, or am I just gonna have to mime?
I liked the theme song.
Yeah. It's gets stuck in my head constantly. It has for the past 15 years.
It was very pretty to look at, and the song was haunting, which fits for this show. This show, by the way, is Higurashi When They Cry, which I believe is just called When They Cry in English. I think they just left out the Higurashi part.
Yeah.
Which basically just means cicada, right?
Yes.
Okay.
It's when the cicadas cry.
So you're more familiar with this than I am.
I am. I watched season 1 back when it was still airing, and this was 100 years ago, so I never got to season 2 because I had to wait for clunky fan translations to hit, like, torrent websites.
Right. Higurashi When They Cry was a visual novel, or it says that it's a sound novel.
How does that differ from a visual novel?
I don't know.
Because it's a visual novel. It has the text and the pictures and...
Yeah, it seems like it has a very heavy emphasis on sound, so that's why they refer to it as a sound novel. But I haven't played it, so I don't really know.
Neither have I, even though it's been sitting in my library for 10,000 years.
It was made by 07th Expansion, who were formed to create the trading card game Leaf Fight.
Leaf Fight?
Yeah, you ever heard of it?
No.
I couldn't find out too much about it except for artwork from it. But yeah, 07th Expansion is basically just 3 people. They formed to create Leaf Fight, and then they went on to make this and a few other things. They made this for the PC, specifically for Windows PCs, and it originally released in 2002.
I got distracted looking at pictures of Leaf Fight.
What do you think?
It looks like Higurashi art.
Yeah, it sure does. The story was written by Ryukishi07, whose real name is unknown. Nobody knows who it is.
I love that that is a thing in Japan, specifically with like weird indie developers like Kikiyama.
Yeah.
It's just a single person or a teeny tiny team that puts out this ridiculous piece of art that changes the internet and nobody knows who it is.
Yeah. Occasionally we get that over here, but never quite to the same extent. Because eventually they show up at a con or something and we find out who they are.
Yeah. And I can't blame them for that, but it does remove a fun layer of mystery.
It does. After the success of Higurashi, Ryukishi07 went on to write like a whole bunch of other games for other companies, including some from Konami. And did you know this? He is writing the upcoming Silent Hill game.
Good for them.
You love Silent Hill.
I do love Silent Hill.
Would you like a Silent Hill from the writer of Higurashi?
I'm gonna say yes, just because we need to get back to some of that good Silent Hill.
Yeah. Apparently Higurashi was originally written as a play, which was going to be called Hinamizawa Bus Stop.
It all takes place at the bus stop of Hinamizawa.
I think it was, from what I could read, it sounded like the plot was pretty similar to what it ended up being. It's just that maybe like the idea was that people were coming into town at this bus stop or something. But he entered the play into a contest and lost.
Oh no.
And then his brother suggested that he restructure the story into a visual novel. So that's what he did.
Well, good for him.
After he graduated, he spent a while trying to get a job in game development and kept getting rejected. And
look at him now.
Well, he ended up taking a civil service job, which I think is what he was doing when this came out. And this game, it came out in 2002, but it didn't get an actual like mass-produced published release until 2004. For the first 2 years, it was produced in very limited quantities on writable CDs with case art that was just printed on his printer.
That's adorable.
It is.
You know that those things are selling for thousands of dollars now.
Oh, absolutely. The first one came out with 4 chapters, and then like each subsequent printing of them had extra chapters added up until it was finally like mass produced and properly published, which is what's considered the final version of the first game.
And completed, it sounds like, because there's 8 chapters total.
Yeah. Yeah, I think there were 4 different versions from what I could tell of the original game. The first one had 4 chapters. The second one had 6, and then eventually it had 8.
Just acquired 8.
Yeah. Although I think only 6 chapters are included in this anime.
I read that earlier when I was getting duped by Steam.
By the sale that doesn't have this in it.
Right, the visual novel sale that showed me things on my wish list that are on sale, except for one item which was not on sale, but still in the wish list part. And it was Higurashi. Of the first 4.
Right. I only have the first one, but I haven't played it yet. But this got me interested.
Yeah? I wouldn't have ranted and raved about it all those years ago if it wasn't interesting.
Yeah. I have a quote here from Ryukishi07. It says, as for Higurashi, I never thought that people outside Japan might be interested. Umineko in particular is a text that even Japanese people can have difficulty reading, so to imagine that foreigners have made the effort to read it, understand it, and translate it is an undescribable happiness to me.
That's adorable.
It sure is. That makes me happy to read it.
Mm-hmm.
I feel almost motivated by this story that he made this game and he was printing it in his house, and now it's this huge franchise that has like 8 anime adaptations, a live action movie, like still gets sequels now, and he's writing for Silent Hill.
The problem is that His product is actually good.
We can do something good.
Not like this. I do. This is a bit of a side rant, but actually, no. I guess I'm doing a lot of talking myself out of it before I even say it.
Let's just say it.
I was gonna say I'm skeptical that something like that could find the same success today because it seems like the world is so demanding of a super polished product, but the indie market is bustling.
Yeah. I think it's true. I think people do demand things be way more polished than they once did. I don't know if that really extends as much to indie games. I think people have less expectations when it comes to indie games.
Maybe.
Because it's funny looking back at what AAA games we had back in the day, seeing how buggy, like, Ocarina of Time is. And we didn't care.
No.
And, like, if any Zelda game released that buggy now, there would be outrage.
I'm talking like the original art, not as polished as the art that they included in the complete edition.
Is that the stuff where, like, the characters have big mitten hands?
Yes.
I did notice those, yeah.
Yeah, that's like the Leaf Fight art. It looks exactly like that.
It's a
in the
very
original version.
It's a very distinctive style.
It is.
Which does not get used in the anime.
No. It's like I think it's charming and cute, but a lot of people would disagree with me.
It reminds me a lot of some of the late 2000s Game Boy Color games. The artwork you'd see in the manuals for some of those.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very similar vibe.
Yeah. I just worry that people's tolerance for more amateurish things is disappearing, but maybe that's just me being cynical.
Maybe. Anyway, should we talk about this show?
I guess that's what we're here to do.
So it had 26 episodes, the first of which aired on April 4th, 2006, on various regional TV networks in Japan. I couldn't find a complete list of all of the networks that aired it, but basically it was all networks that serve like a specific prefecture. So I assume it's basically the equivalent of syndication in America.
Mm-hmm.
It was produced by Studio Dean, who are known for Ranma 1/2, Fruits Basket. They did Bomberman Jetters, which I don't think is very well known, but I know about it.
We're going to have to cover it on this show.
Eventually, yeah. It's a studio that was formed in 1975 by a bunch of ex-Sunrise employees. So that's all I wrote about them.
Cool.
The series is divided into chapters, based on the chapters of the game. It looks like pretty much every chapter is about 4 episodes long, but there's one that's only 2 episodes long.
Yeah.
I didn't look too greatly into it since it's not that relevant for just looking at the first episode, but the gist I got was that each chapter is basically like an alternate version of what might have happened.
Yes.
Okay.
Each chapter kind of follows the story of a different character.
Right. And they play out differently.
Yeah, they all play out differently. It tells you what goes horribly wrong, where, why.
Okay.
I think the chapters are divided by like questions and answers.
Yes, I did see that there were question arcs and answer arcs, but I didn't really understand what that meant.
I think the answer arcs are just conclusions to question arcs that fill in the story, but like I said, I haven't played the games and I never finished the anime.
Right. Do you know if there's like a canon version of events, or is it all just left up to...
I do not know.
Because
it was a show that I had always intended to come back to and then just forgot because I was a child with ADHD.
Like me and Dot Hack.
Mm-hmm.
I still haven't finished that show. I've had it on my hard drive for years and I haven't finished it.
Oh yeah, if I had actually had the seasons, I would have plowed through them, but they were still coming out.
Right.
I watched the first season like 3 times, though. Can't remember much of it, but...
Well, this episode is called Spirited Away by the Demon, Part 1. Well, that's one translation of it. I found like 5.
I know of a couple. So the word is onikakushi, which is just a play off of kamikakushi, spirited away by the gods.
Yes,
'Cause
some translations say ogre.
I hate when they say ogre. That's just because it's like a literal translation of, or not a literal, but a translation of Oni into English. And since the concept of an Oni doesn't exist outside of Japan, people will call it an ogre, and I don't like it.
No, I don't either. So would it be like Spirited Away by the Oni?
Yes,
Okay.
because it deals with a deity called Oyashiro-sama, and it's getting spirited away by him.
Okay. See, if they had just made it the Oni, I would have understood that. But then again, I guess this was 2002.
Yeah.
Because I also noticed later on in the show, there are a bunch of bento. And they refer to them as, I think they refer to them as lunchboxes or something in the subtitles.
Yeah. That's a less egregious one,
Yeah,
but
but I was like, this shows the age of it, because if it was today, they would probably just say bento, because everybody knows what bento are now.
yeah.
There's no need to, like, change that for the English audience anymore. They actually sell bento at the supermarket now.
Yeah, and they sell little boxes that you can make your own bento and put in.
Yeah. It was written by Toshifumi Kawase, who also directed Beyblade.
Okay.
And we open in June of 1983.
If I had remembered that this show was based off of video games, and that's kind of what our whole podcast is about, I would have demanded we do it earlier.
Didn't you say, though, that when you first watched it, you didn't realize it was based on a game?
Probably, but that was like 15 years ago.
Okay, yeah, and I guess you've known since then, since you have the
Yes.
game.
Yeah, I figured it out at some point. When it first came through my mail slot, it was just an anime that I had discovered because I was into weird, gross anime and watching obscure, gross Japanese things. Unlike today, I'm a very different person. So I first knew it as an anime and then
Okay.
quickly discovered that it was games.
Ah. We open with violence.
Yes, we do.
Do you want to describe the scene?
There's some blood. There's a guy and he's bludgeoning some corpses that were not corpses recently, one would assume.
Allegedly.
Allegedly. We don't get to see a whole lot of who is doing the killing and who is doing the dying, but before we cut to the title screen and the fun song,
Yeah.
we do see that it's Keiichi and he's murdered his friends.
Yeah, well, we know that in retrospect, but when we first come into this, I had no idea what was going on.
No, it just opens up on extreme violence.
Yeah, it's not until after the opening sequence that we're introduced properly to Keiichi. Keiichi Maebara.
Yes.
There we go. I got there. He is played by Soichiro Hoshi, who is also known for playing Goro Akechi in Persona 5, Death Gun in Sword Art Online, Chaos in the Xenosaga animation. I'm not sure about the game. I'm not sure if the game had voices. I don't know. He is Killick in Soul Calibur, and he was Enrique in Skies of Arcadia.
I've heard of those things.
I'm familiar with all of those things. I haven't played all of them, but I'm familiar with all of them. In English, he's played by Grant George, who played Shinjiro in Persona 3, Izuru in Bleach, Shuichi in Danganronpa V3, and he's the voice of the Warrior of Light in the Final Fantasy Dissidia games.
It's been so long since I played Danganronpa, I don't remember who's who. I have to look him up.
Do it.
Oh, him. Yeah, that's the protagonist character.
Oh, is it? Okay, cool.
Yeah.
He also plays Killick in the English version of Soul Calibur. Keiichi and Killick share both their voice actors with each other in both languages,
That's fun.
which is interesting. And he also plays Kim in Miraculous Ladybug. I don't know who Kim is in Miraculous Ladybug. I've only seen it once.
I was about to ask if you'd watched it, since it doesn't really strike me as your kind of show.
No, what's annoying is that it does. But I didn't like it. Have you ever seen it?
I haven't, but every now and then it rolls across my algorithm, and it's somebody saying they don't know why they like the show because it's terrible.
The thing is, it's a French show, and French shows all move at a much faster pace than English shows, which means when you're watching an English dub of it, the characters are all rushing their dialogue so quickly and none of it feels natural. I have the same problem anytime I watch an Asterix thing in English.
Yeah.
So I would rather watch it in the original French with subtitles, but I haven't tried that. I probably should. So we learned that Keiichi has lived in Hinamizawa for 1 month. And he's already made friends. He seems to be getting on with people.
It does become important later that he's not like a lifer of Hinamizawa.
I mean, it feels important pretty much right away.
Right. That's true. Some intrigue does start to open up pretty early.
Because he's our fish out of water. He's our audience surrogate character. He's the one who's here for people to explain things to. Because, at some point they need to explain what things in the town are, and we need to know it. It'd be weird if they were explaining it to someone else who's lived there his whole life.
No, that's definitely not clunky world building.
So this is where we meet Rena, who's waiting for him as he walks to school.
This part, it always sticks in my mind because the first translation that I had of this, I later sought out the full series, but I was given the first episode as like a taste test, and the translations, they weren't inaccurate, but like Keiichi's mom tells him to thank Rena for the pickles, and so he comes outside and the subtitles say, "My mom says thanks," and in parentheses, "for the pickles," smiley emoji. Or squinting eye smiley emoji from the early 2000s. It was so bad.
Rena, what's her name? Ryugu?
Uh-huh.
I like that he comments that it's a weird name.
Yeah. I had no way of knowing that it was weird.
She is played by Mai Nakahara, who played another character named Rena in Dot Hack. She also played Nagisa in Clanad, Priya in Disgaea. I don't know anything about Disgaea. I don't even know if I'm pronouncing it right.
I've never known how to pronounce that.
No, me neither. She also played Estelise from the Tales of series. In English, Rena is played by Mela Lee, who is known for playing Rin in Fate/Stay Night, which I think is also on our list of things to cover eventually. She plays Tiki in Miraculous Ladybug and Tiki in Fire Emblem.
What is with all the Rena actresses having similar named roles?
I know. She also plays Rachel Alucard in BlazBlue, Hina in Rune Factory 5. Do you know that one?
I'm getting it confused with Hina from Danganronpa.
Ah.
So I have to look it up. Rune Factory 5, Hina. Oh yeah! She's cute.
And she's also the voice of Karen in Pokemon Masters, the Dark-type Elite Four member from Johto.
Oh, everybody knows who Karen is.
I always forget she exists.
I feel like people in the real nerdy internet spheres for Pokemon know who she is just because, I mean, people want to use their favorite Pokemon, but they're not always competitively viable.
Yeah.
So the Karen fans are at odds with the competitive players.
Why?
Well, just because you love ferret doesn't mean you should be using it in battle.
Does Karen have a ferret?
No. Just saying, if you're not min-maxing your Pokemon team, why even play Pokemon?
Oh.
No one likes Pokemon.
I don't understand how it connects to Karen.
She has a quote in Pokemon.
Oh, that's right. Okay. Thank you.
I should have mentioned that earlier, and I meant to, but it just...
So they keep walking, and then they meet Mion.
Yeah, she's there too. She's got green hair.
Mion Sonozaki, who is played by Satsuki Yukino, who is known for playing Kagome in Inuyasha.
Oh.
Yoruichi in Bleach. She was the voice of Dawn's Bunnyeri in Pokemon Diamond and Pearl.
Her biggest role.
She was Mutsumi in Love Hina and Kaname in Full Metal Panic. Those were the main things I'd heard of. In English, she's played by Megan Hollingshead, who we've heard of before.
Who is she?
She was Nurse Joy.
The very same?
The very samest.
Wow.
So that's neat. We know this lady.
Personally.
Yeah. Hi, Megan.
Show.
Hi, Mega.
Mega Hollingshead.
So we learned that Keiichi was recently absent for 2 days because he was visiting the city for a funeral. I assume that comes up again.
I can't remember. Maybe.
It seems like an odd thing to mention out of nowhere for no reason.
Yeah, just to have not been there for 2 specific days.
Yeah.
And that's when all the mysteries happened.
And for a funeral as well.
Yeah.
It seemed very specific. I feel like if there wasn't a reason for it, they could have just said he was sick or something.
Mm-hmm.
So we are told that because the village is small, there's only one class of children at the school. And there are about 15 students, and they're all of mixed ages. They're all in different grades. And because of that, the teacher is super busy. So Keiichi is teaching things to Rena and Mion, despite Mion being a grade higher than him.
She really gives you the delinquent vibe, though, so it makes sense.
She's my favorite.
Mine too.
She's great. Rena and Mion have decided they want to show him around town tomorrow, since he apparently only knows how to get to school.
He said school and something else.
He said school and town, which I chose to disregard because that doesn't mean anything.
He still only walks one straight line all day, every day for a month.
Yeah.
To be fair, that's basically me. I find my way to work, and then I just stick to that.
So they take him to the Furude Shrine. In the opening, when I saw Rena, like, both in her school outfit and in the outfit she's wearing now, I thought they were 2 different characters. It's funny how the addition of a hat completely changed her to me.
Suddenly Perry the Platypus makes a lot of sense.
And this is where Rena, she has made a picnic of bento. Way too many bento, it looks like, for 3 people.
But then
2
people
more.
show up.
It's like fate happened. So we have 2 characters here. A blonde girl and a blue-haired girl. I was thinking about that, about how in anime you always get characters with like green hair and blue hair. But then I was thinking about it, and like you think about Japanese culture, green hair and blue hair probably aren't that more outlandish than blonde hair in Japan.
True. Keiichi's the only one with a natural hair color.
It's true. To none of them. No, Rena's hair it's a light brown, but it's brownish, right?
It's like orangey brown.
It's a very light brown. She's been in the sun too much.
She's got clown blood in her.
So the blonde girl is Satoko Hojo, who is played by Mika Kanai. I was very excited to see this name.
Why is that?
She's Sarah from the Sonic OVA.
Oh, everything always comes back to Sonic.
It's Sarah.
You know I didn't play those ones.
All right, well, she's also Meryl and Jigglypuff. Is that better?
Now you're putting it into perspective. It's a voice to be respected.
In English, she is played by Minx Lee, who is actually named Jenny Kwan. She played Audrey in Little Shop, an animated series based on Little Shop of Horrors.
That's what I thought that was going to be.
She also played Suki in Avatar: The Last Airbender, and she's the voice of Chun-Li in Street Fighter 6.
Cool.
And then we've got the blue-haired one, Rika Furude, who is played by Yukari Tamura, known for playing Tenten in Naruto, Mei in Clannad, Ibusuki in Crayon Shin-Chan, Talim in Soul Calibur, Rosalind in Disgaea, and she played Bounce Man in Mega Man 11.
Whoa! I'm looking him up.
Yeah, I don't know who he is.
I have to narrow it down. Apparently there's somebody named Bounce Man in One Piece.
Oh.
That is not... Oh, wait, yes, okay. That is Bounce Man.
Oh, he looks like an ARMS character.
That's what I thought! I was like, that is not a Mega Man! That's a ARMS!
Oh, he even does punch like an ARMS character. Wow.
He's no Snake Man, but I like him.
He's no Skull Man. In English, Rika is played by Rebecca Forstad. She had done a lot of things, but I really feel like there's only one that I need to talk about.
Go on.
She is the voice of Magical Princess Minky
No!
Momo.
No! She's the Minky Momo!
She's the Minky Momo.
お願い聞いてラブラブミンキーママお願い聞いて魔法のプリンセス
Apparently she even performed the English theme song to Minky Momo.
No!
So that's enough, as far as I'm concerned. That's all
We've
we need to
completed
know
the
about her.
ritual, and the show is now cursed for 1,000 years.
So I did notice right away that Rika's family name is also the name of the shrine.
Yes. Good job.
It doesn't really come up. It's like clearly hinted at because Satoko...
It'll come up soon.
Okay. Yeah, so
She's a shrine maiden.
Satoko refers to this as someone else's yard. And then Rika is kind of like, no, it's fine. Everyone should use it. Because it's the shrine.
That's what it's here for.
Did you notice the cartoon sound effects as Keiichi and Satoko slap fight each other?
Was it the sound of slapping?
No, it was like...
This show is very strange in that it's very dated in how it is anime.
Yes.
There's a lot of very over the top everything.
It feels like a 2000s anime.
Yes.
The sun goes down and everyone's going home, but Keiichi doesn't feel like going home yet, so Rena takes him someplace.
The dump!
The garbage dump, or as she calls
Woo.
it, the mountain of treasure.
And she just hops right in.
Yeah, she's excited. She hasn't been in a while. This is like when I go to the arcade back home.
I mean, when you're a small town girl, you got nothing better to do than dig around in the dump. They probably don't have a Walmart to loiter at.
That's true. It is 1983. So Keiichi decides to just relax on some sheet metal while Rena goes to play in the garbage.
What a sentence.
And it's completely accurate.
It is.
And a man with a camera surprises him. So this is Jiro Tomitake, who is played by Toru Okawa, known for playing Roy Mustang in Full Metal Alchemist. He was Pachacamac in Sonic Adventure, which took me by surprise. Pachacamac is Tikal's father, who 4,000 years in the past declared war on the Chao because he wanted the Chaos Emeralds.
That sounds horrific.
It was. He was the voice of Ryu in Street Fighter 3, but only Street Fighter 3.
Cool.
From what I could tell. He's the voice of Detective Pikachu.
Fun.
And he plays Koga in Pokemon Masters as well. So he is, in my opinion, the most exciting voice actor here.
We had Minky Momo herself.
Okay. All right. But I mean, I was prefacing that because I'm about to one-up him with Jiro's English voice.
Okay.
Who is Kyle Herbert, the official voice of Ryu in Street Fighter for at least a decade. So if you've heard Ryu in any Street Fighter game or, for example, Wreck-It Ralph or Smash Brothers, it was this guy. He's also the current voice of Big the Cat. He is Gohan in Dragon Ball. And he's the current official voice of Miles Edgeworth.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
This is how I learned that Big the Cat and Miles Edgeworth share a voice actor, by the way.
That is a pretty incredible fact.
And Ryu from Street Fighter. I personally thought that in both languages he was the best actor in this. I really liked him in the Japanese version. He felt very natural.
ごめんごめん。メインは野鳥の撮影でね、今まで断った試しがないんだよ。
He asks what Rena's doing, and Keiichi jokes that maybe she's looking for a corpse that she chopped up, and then Jiro suddenly gets serious.
嫌な事件だったね。腕が一本まだ見つかってないんだろう？何が
He's like, they never found the arm, did they?
Yeah. Which scares Keiichi because he didn't know about this.
He's just being grim. He didn't think he was being that edgy.
Yeah, he thought he was making some grim humor, and then suddenly this guy's like, oh yeah, terrible thing that happened.
Who's the asshole now, Keiichi?
Oh, it would have been such a twist if it turned out there was no murder and the guy was just like, oh, he's messing with me, I'll mess back with him. Jiro leaves because Rena comes back, saying that she found a Kenta doll.
Kenta-kun!
Kenta-kun. It's the Colonel.
This is what has sparked my lifelong fascination with Japan's relationship to Kenta-kun.
They go out of their way not to actually say that it's KFC. They say it's KCF. Do you want to tell the story?
About how there's a lifelong curse on the Hanshin Tigers, the
Yeah.
Japanese baseball team.
Yeah.
The curse of the Colonel. After winning a game, they were doing a ritual where they would take they wouldn't take every member of the sports ball team, but they would find a person, and that would be the stand-in for every member of the team, and they would drop them in the river for fun. But the Hanshin Tigers had a white guy on it, and they couldn't find a white guy, so they dropped Kenta-kun in the river, and after they did that, the sports ball team started losing every game. And so they tried to recover all of the pieces of the Colonel, but they're still missing a part of him, I think. They've never been able to break the curse of the Colonel.
It was a statue of the Colonel that was outside the restaurant, right?
Mm-hmm.
That they threw in. So this is how you learned about it?
No, I just thought it was a weird thing. And then I think I was reading an article later in life, a few years later, where I learned about that. And I was like, what? What is with Japan and the Colonel? And it just kind of cemented them together in my head.
You're the one who told me about it. And then that made me realize that Sonic Adventure has a reference to it as well. Because in Sonic Adventure, there's a burger restaurant that has a statue of a guy outside it that you can pick up and throw around.
Do you get cursed for 1,000 years if you throw him in the water?
No, but in the GameCube version, there is a subquest to retrieve him from the water. So she found the Kentakun doll, but she couldn't dig it out because it's under too much stuff. So Keiichi says that he'll come back tomorrow and help her dig it out. He asks her he's trying to fish for information about this murder he just heard about.
Fresh new murder.
Yeah. She says that they were building a dam. I'm not sure what is that why all the garbage is there? I'm not sure.
Like the site that they're on was going to be the dam.
Okay.
So now they're just dumping garbage in it, I guess.
Right. When Keiichi asks what made them stop building the dam, she just kind of cuts him short and says that she wasn't living there at the time. And it's suspicious, but it's not overly suspicious.
その工事中に何かあったとか、事故とか。
知らない。
It's cast in a suspicious light.
Yes. And then we just cut to what I guess is the next day. And I assume they're at school?
Yes.
The girls are all debating whether they should let Keiichi join their club. And they let him in. He doesn't seem interested in joining the club, but he's in it now anyway.
He's been forced to join their club.
And it's a club for playing games. I thought they meant video games until I remembered that it was 1983.
Yeah.
But so it's board games and card games and stuff. I mean, I guess they had video games, but they wouldn't have really had them at home yet.
They would have had to go to an arcade in their tiny little podunk town.
Yeah, so they probably would have had to go to Tokyo for that. She opens up her locker and she pulls out a deck of cards and says they should play a game everyone knows. Old Maid. Do you know how to play Old Maid?
I don't. I thought I did, but then I watched them play that and I was like, is this the same game?
I thought it looked a lot like Go Fish.
It did look more like that. I'm wondering if it's a translation issue.
Oh, you think? You know, I didn't check. Maybe she called it something completely different in the Japanese.
Yeah. Because sometimes whenever they do Japanese games, they just pick something in English like, this is close.
Yeah, it's true. All right, let's see. The dealer shuffles and deals all of the cards to the players one card at a time. Some players may have one more card than others. This is acceptable. Players look at their cards and discard any pairs they have face up. Players can only discard pairs, so a 3 of a kind is prohibited.
Oh yeah, that's what they were doing.
Beginning with the dealer, each player takes turns offering their hand face down to the player on their left. That player selects a card without looking and adds it to their hand. Okay, yeah, that seems to be what they were playing.
Then I guess whatever version of Old Maid I was playing was just different.
I liked this scene a lot. I thought it was funny. I like the idea that these girls have all been playing with this one deck of cards for so long, and the cards are all so beaten up that they can recognize them from the backs.
I thought that was a cute and realistic little touch.
Yeah, and there's no way for him to win because even just looking at the backs of his cards, the girls know exactly what his hand is.
They list it to him.
Yeah. He says it's not fair, but they say they're just using their advantages, which, you know, they are.
That doesn't negate the fact that it's not fair.
It's definitely not fair. I think they do mention about playing with a new card deck, but I don't think they have a card deck, so they've only got this one. Eventually, he manages to trick Mion by scratching one of the cards himself, so that she thinks it's something else. And he wins one game.
After losing many.
Yeah. He still lost overall, so he has to go through the punishment game. Which is just
to have marker on his face.
Yeah, Mion draws like a cat face on his face. Or like a raccoon face.
Panda.
Oh, panda? Yeah, it was kind of panda-ish. It's the whiskers that threw me, though.
True.
Maybe it was like a raccoon. As Mion walks home with Keiichi, she tells him the story of the dam. The government came to evict all the people in the town and build a dam there, which would have flooded the whole area. So the people from the town went to Tokyo and petitioned the government against it, and it was stopped. And he asked if there were any violent crimes, and she immediately shuts the conversation down even more suspiciously than Rena did and leaves.
No, we didn't all get together and murder someone. That's ridiculous, Keiichi.
Yeah, I thought the way they handled it was good because it's just like she's just like, no, nothing happened. Well, bye.
Anyway, gotta go. Got some documents to shred.
Yeah. Meanwhile, at the dump.
Ren has been hanging out there alone.
Yeah. Yeah, like she was there with them at the school playing games. So then she came to the dump on her own while Keiichi went for a walk with Mion. I'm a bit confused by the sequence of events.
Yeah, and then she's like legitimately confused to see him there, even though he said he'd help her get it.
Yeah, she's like, what are you doing here? I was confused by that.
I'm just at the dump acting suspicious.
Yeah, she's trying to dig out the statue. He shows up to help, and I don't know why she's so confused to see him, but it's not elaborated on.
Mm-mm.
So she goes to look for something to help them dig him out, and Keiichi looks around and finds a stack of old magazines.
A stack of incriminating magazines right by his feet.
Yeah, which he opens and immediately finds an article about the murder.
The murder that happened exactly where he's standing.
Did it?
No.
Oh.
I'm just talking about the coincidentalness of it.
It is very coincidental. It says the body was hacked up with an axe and the murderer was never found.
Well, there were, I think, 6 people were
yes,
accused
right.
of the murder, but one of them was never found.
That's right. And as he's thinking about the whole axe thing, we see Rena approaching with a giant blade.
That's to save Kenta-kun.
I know.
Right?
I assume.
There's nothing suspicious about a girl and a giant hatchet.
And Keiichi comments on the cicadas, the sound of the cicadas being very loud, and
trying to warn him.
yeah, he says something about thinking back it felt like a warning or something.
Something poetic like that.
Now, that's the end. That's how it ends. I want to watch the rest now. I didn't look ahead to see what happens. I could see one of 2 possibilities here. Either she was a murderer, or he's just, like, learning about the murder makes him super paranoid, and he just gets more and more paranoid, and then he ends up being the murderer. Because we did see him murdering people, or it looked like he was murdering people.
It started off with a bloodbath, so it's not keeping us in the dark about that.
Yeah.
We're just gonna have to finish this show, I guess.
I guess so. I liked the ending song. It was pretty.
Mm-hmm.
Had a lot of cicadas in it. It ends with a dead one being awashed in blood. That was nice.
Lovely, lovely imagery.
It was good. It was fitting. It was clever. I liked it. Good job, directors. Should we talk about the dub?
Let's talk about the dub.
It was dubbed by Bang Zoom Entertainment, who I've never heard of, but apparently they've dubbed a hell of a lot of things, mostly for other companies. They dubbed Magic Knight Rayearth, Chobits, Doraemon, One Punch Man, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, a lot of stuff I've heard of. They were doing this for Gineon Entertainment, who were releasing the show on DVD in the US in 2007. But they cancelled all of their US DVD sales with only half of the episodes released.
Why?
Yeah, I don't know. But then later, a couple years later, they made a deal with Funimation, who published a complete box set in 2009. But then that went away because their deal expired in 2011 because of low sales.
Oh no.
So I don't know if you can get it on DVD. Oh yeah, I think I read that Sentai Filmworks have a DVD out now.
Hmm.
So you can get it on DVD.
Or you could just do what I did and get it through unscrupulous means.
Don't admit to that.
You can't prove it.
You can't prove it. Mel,
I'm lying for clout.
Yeah, Mel wants... It's piracy is cool, and we're pretending to be pirates to look cool. But we actually spend all kinds of money on things.
Money that we have.
With our voice money wallets. So I watched the dub. Have you ever seen the dub?
I don't think so.
Apparently it's considered one of the worst dubs of all time.
Really?
I didn't think it was that bad. There weren't any, like, translation errors or anything. But Rena is really annoying in the dub. She was unbearable to listen to. Both the acting and writing contributed to just, like, a terrible performance.
Oh no.
She's very annoying. She keeps, like, repeating things that she said. And she does that thing. You know that thing I always complain about anime voice actors doing, where it sounds like someone's messing with a pitch knob while they're talking?
Mm-hmm.
She does that constantly.
But if I slept in, I'd run the risk of making you wait for me.
I mean, so does Keiichi, though. They're both annoying.
Yeah, I can understand that they made the choice to make her repeat things, because she has a speech tick in Japanese where she says kana at the end of a lot of her questions.
Oh, does she?
And
I didn't
so-
notice.
Yeah, when they translate that, it just kind of has her say something like, "Do you want to go to the store? Do you?"
No, it's
But I
not
guess-
even like that. It's like, do you want to go to the store? The store?
Why are you being like this? Like this?
It's like...
That's what I'm saying. In the English translation, it must not have been done well.
No, it was not.
The dub is much more tactful in how it handles that.
You mean the sub?
Yes, I meant to say subtitles.
Okay. Mion and Jiro were good. I liked the acting on them. They sounded like real people. Because that anime voice thing is my pet peeve with anime dubs, where everyone's like, "Oh, I'm the anime voice. This is my anime voice. I talk like this."
Yeah, I can't watch the dub of Madoka because the acting is just so fake.
Yeah. It's annoying. The girls shutting him down when he asks about the murders was a lot more heavy-handed in the dub.
In case you can't pick up on it.
Yeah, in the original, they shut him down, but they do it in the same, like, friendly tone that they've been using for the rest of the conversation. It's just that the answer is short and sharp. So you feel it, you know. It still feels like it's them talking, and it still feels like a genuine part of the conversation. But the quickness with which they respond is almost like it's like a period on the end of the conversation.
Yeah.
It's very clear that they are precluding more questions, but without seeming, I don't know.
Guilty.
Yeah. In the dub, their voices change significantly. Like when they shut down his questioning, their voices change to a deep, mean tone.
I heard they were trying to build a dam here a while ago, but that's all I really know about it.
They tried to build a dam? Well, then maybe something happened, like a construction accident. Is that possible?
I don't know. You see, I was living somewhere else up until last year.
And that's how the little guys took down the big guys.
Interesting. Were there any major clashes between you guys and them? You know, like murder or assault or anything like that?
No, nothing.
Huh? Oh, okay.
Okay then, see you tomorrow!
They just had a completely different actor come and do that part.
It makes it a lot more suspicious than I felt like it was.
Than it needs to be.
Yeah, in the original, I felt it was clear that they did not want to talk about it, but it didn't make me suspect that they were murderers.
Right.
The way that the dub does. The dub makes it sound like they're the killers. From what I could find on the internet, it sounds like the bad acting is down to bad voice direction.
Yeah.
The actors apparently weren't really told anything beyond the lines they were currently reading. There were a lot of people saying that the acting in the dub gets better as the series go on and the actors learn about the characters. So maybe the later ones are better for it.
I just don't understand why you have a job as a voice director and you think it's in everyone's best interest to not inform the actors what the tone is.
There's a lot
How
of
strange.
it's like when you hear about those directors who are directing an adaptation of something and they insist that the actors not look into the thing that they're adapting.
Yeah.
I always find that a strange decision.
Didn't that happen with The Last of Us?
The Last of Us, I think the director told them not to play the games, but then they both did it anyway.
They're like, no, we want to do our job.
Yeah. And like the actor for what's her name? Marlene in The Last of Us, she couldn't come at it blind anyway, because she also played Marlene in the game.
Just forget everything you knew about Marlene.
Yeah, and like I know it happened with the X-Men movies as well, like the first ones. The director forbid the actors from reading the comics. Which is just a weird choice.
It is.
As far as Legacy goes, I don't really have anything to say about it, because I think this is pretty faithful. So I don't think there were really any changes to carry over into other things.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think that the show itself has a legacy as such. If anything, the show is just part of the legacy of the visual novel.
The show is its own legacy because they keep re-releasing it.
Yeah. I mean, they've made a bunch of sequels. They've made a live-action remake, and I think there's a new anime remake that came out recently as well. And plus, this is based on the CD drama, I think. I read that it uses all the same actors as the CD drama. So,
Oh, that's cool.
yeah. So I think this show is part of the legacy of the CD drama, which is part of the legacy of the game. But it was good. I liked it. I would watch the rest of this.
Yeah, I have watched the rest of it.
Did you say you'd seen all of this series, but you haven't seen the second series?
I've seen all of the first season.
So, like the 26?
Yeah, the 26 episodes that covers 6 of the 8 chapters.
Okay. They did another series which was based on Higurashi When They Cry Kai, which I believe was the second release that had extra chapters added.
Yes, that sounds familiar.
As far as I can tell, Kai never got dubbed, so...
So you have to rely on clunky fan translations. No, it's been 15 years. I'm sure they have official ones by now.
Probably. I'm sure Sentai Filmworks have put out DVD sets that have better subtitles.
I've endorsed the show enough, I think. It tries to fool you with its cuteness, and then it's very, very grisly.
Yeah, I did read a thing from the writer where he talked about how he tries to write things as though they were a roller coaster. And that made perfect sense to me watching this.
Yeah.
Though I don't think we got any of... We didn't get to any of the steep drops in the roller coaster in this episode, I don't think.
No, it gets worse.
I think it started us out with a fairly steep drop with the very first shot, but then for the most part it was all rising. It was all rising tension. But I'd be into seeing the first steep drop. We'll come back. We'll look at this again. I might watch it all before then.
Or play the game.
I might play the game. I do have one chapter.
I'm trying to think who my favorite character was, because I don't remember, but it was probably Mion.
Yeah, Mion is definitely my favorite of the girls. I don't like Keiichi that much, but I really like the main character in something.
Yeah, he's just the audience stand-in. We're not supposed to like him.
I was glad that they did do more to give him a personality than they usually do for characters like that. Because he has
That's
a very sarcastic sense of humor, and he likes to tease people a lot.
Mm-hmm. As evidenced by the lunch where he spent the entire time bullying Satoko.
Yeah, I mean, the first time we see him with Rena, he bullies her a little bit as well. Tells her
But
that
not
he
as
would have
much.
ditched her if she was late.
True. She falls for it.
Yeah.
She's a fool.
She is a fool. To me, it seems that she is being set up as the obvious, like, that would be his love interest.
Mm-hmm.
If it were me, I'd be more into Mion in real life. I don't like girls like Rena, axe murderers.
Yeah, I know what you mean. She acts all soft and gentle, and then she hacks you to pieces. Not falling for that one again.
A good job was done of giving the characters quirks.
Mm-hmm.
I thought none of them are just the stereotype. Like Rena had her weird obsession with the garbage dump.
Kento-kun.
Yeah, and stuff like that. They all have their little foibles that make them more interesting than the standard anime cast.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely came into it expecting that I already knew exactly who each of these characters was going to be.
Mm-hmm.
So getting to see that they were a little bit more unique than I expected was nice.
We haven't gotten to see a whole lot of Rika and Satoko yet, though.
No, that's true. They do. Those two seem stereotypical for now, but we'll see. I definitely like Mion the best.
Mm-hmm.
Is Jiro in it more, or was he just here for that bit?
He comes back.
Okay, cool, because I liked him too.
He tells us that he mostly photographs birds, but I don't think that's the truth.
I think he mostly photographs girls, because that's all that seems to be in this town.
I think he mostly photographs dumps.
Maybe Jiro's just a surveyor and he's coming to restart the dam project.
We can't, boss. Kento-kun is here. This is sacred land.
You can't build a dam here. It's a Kento-kun burial ground.
The Kento-kun holy site. They clear out all the rubble and they just have Kento-kun sitting in the middle, draped in shimenawa.
Thanks for joining us, everyone. If you want to see some things I cut from episodes and maybe suggest things that we should cover next, head over to patreon.com/superbreakfastfriendsclub and consider putting some money into our hands.
We're working on perks.
We're working on them.
Slowly but surely.
Oh, hi. This is Mike from the future just dropping in for a second to say that we have a patron that I need to address here. Jamie Core, if you're listening, thank you so much for joining our Patreon. We record these a few weeks in advance, so it's going to be a few weeks before you hear us actually find out. But I just wanted to acknowledge it here so that you know that we know. We're paying attention. Thank you, Jamie. And thank you anyone else who may choose to join our Patreon. All right, I'm going to put you back into the show now. Please return to your seats. The show will commence. I guess it's ending anyway. It's ending anyway. Do you want to just go? Don't go. Listen to the end. There's some funny stuff coming up. All right, goodbye. You could also go to coffee.com/superbreakfastfriendsclub, where that's also possible there. I don't believe in Twitter anymore.
I don't believe in its future.
It's still there. I still post on it. It's like Schrodinger's social media site right now.
I'm telling you, I think it's gonna survive, despite how much I want it to die.
Just because it's so established.
Just because that's literally all it is. It's so established. There are no other strong competitors right now. There are all these fad places that people go for a week and then come back.
He's trying so hard to remove all the brand awareness, though.
That's true.
They're not even
But
called
people-
tweets anymore.
But if you Google Twitter, if you Google somebody's handle at Twitter, it still brings you to the site.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate, but that's keeping the site alive.
It is still twitter.com right now because he doesn't actually own x.com.
It's probably a porn site.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's saying that he wants the video component of X to be called X videos, which is literally already a porn site. Bye.
Get lost. Wait.